a planet, and it's half blown apart, like a giant chunk of the planet is missing from Rogue One. Oh, it was the first issue of the arc. Okay, we're 38. Looking for it. Yep, there it is right there. Number issue 38, where a big chunk of the planet's fucking missing, and it has a giant fucking crater in it. And Luke's also taking a side mission for to go to what used to be the Jedi Temple to get, like, I don't know, more in touch with the Force.
I gotcha. All right, here we go. We'll get this going.
Stop these photorealistic faces.
All right, welcome everybody. This is the Marvel Minute. Star Wars number 40 was the winner this week. I am so thrown off today. I'm fresh off the Bills game. My voice is literally shot, and I don't know much about Star Wars comics, so Trevor's going to help me out with a lot of this bad boy. But yeah, we figured it was appropriate to do a Star Wars book the week of the release of the newest movie, and it ended up winning the vote. So we bring you Star Wars 40. This is written by Karen Gillan. Salvador LaRocca is the artist. Colorist Guru FX. And letterer is VC's Virtual Calligraphy's Clayton Cowles.
The man, the myth,
yeah, he's the busiest man in comics.
Hey, you know what I noticed? Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you know what I noticed? The editor on this book is Jordan White, right? And then there's Tom Brevoort and this guy Nick Lowe, who does Amazing Spider-Man. Those three guys, they edit every good book at Marvel. So like now I got this new thing, whereas when I open an issue that I've never read a book before, I immediately go for the editor, and if it's not edited by one of these three guys, it's like, nah. I'm like, okay, it's not gonna be that great then. Like,
yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, some of the shit that gets through. But anyway, yeah, we're in a safe zone here with Star Wars, and it kicks off on the planet of Jedha. And you see, kind of as Trevor reminded me before we kick things off here, one of these mining ships, kind of from Rogue One, starting to suck shit up from this planet we're on. And there's this bad guy getting snuck up on by two good guys. We're not really sure who they are yet.
It's a guy, I can't pronounce his name. It's like Burson or whatever, and Luke.
Yeah, it ends up being Burson and Luke on this like ninja mission, and this Burson dude ends up slitting this bad guy's throat, which doesn't please Luke too much. But that's how events are going to go throughout this issue. This guy's kind of like a Wolverine type character. He'll kill you in the name of good. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, Benthic. That's his name, Benthic.
Okay, Benthic. Andrew in Belfast is rolling in his grave as I mispronounce everything Star Wars related here. But they end up killing this dude and sneaking in through this hatch when Luke cuts it open with a lightsaber. It comically falls on one of the bad guys below. And then they quickly get into this skirmish to get some information from one of the underlings that works for the dark side. This Bursic dude basically is like, tell me what I want or I'm going to kill you. And he demonstrates this by killing kind of the front runner of the operation here first, before he gets to the underling that tells them at least a little bit of what they need to proceed.
Yeah, he doesn't want to die. He's freaked out.
Now this part I'm a little lost on. They're on these giant horse giraffe type characters riding through kind of looks like a lava pit almost, but not quite. Is this the same planet they're on?
Yeah, it's the same planet. It's because half of it, is exploded from Rogue One. So
okay, so this is the part that's all fresh from the explosion still.
Yeah, it's all fucked up.
And we see the Millennium Falcon approaching this sector of the planet, and there's Han and Leia on this, Millennium Falcon, typical crew. And are they getting boarded by somebody? I'm really lost in this part because I have no idea what ship they keep going back and forth to.
So the plan was, Luke and Benthic are going to go in and like deactivate the shields while the guys on the ground are performing a little bit of a diversion for the defenses. And and Han and Leia are supposed to come in with the Millennium Falcon and just blow it to shit and destroy it.
Okay. So the flashes to these people are Luke and Bentha, right? Bentha's still killing people. Yeah. All right. I got lost there for a second because they show you Han and Leia, and then they flash to Luke and Bentha. But Luke and Bentha end up accomplishing their goal, and this sector of the planet blows up. We get a Yahoo from the Millennium Falcon as they start approaching. We got these animals running roughshed or woodshed or whatever the fuck. I can't talk. I don't know words right now. Down on the ground below, and the bad guy basically approaches a Darth Vader type figure with one arm. He's huge. He's apologizing for all this shit going down that's happening that shouldn't be. Their plans blowing up in their face.
In the last issue, in the last issue, he had a guy who failed him, and he, with his robotic arm, he crushed the dude's head. So he's like all fucking scared.
Okay, so he thinks this is going to happen to him, and the guy ends up sympathizing with him. He's like, yeah, not everything always goes according to plan. No big deal. And that's because they have a bigger ship, fresh on the tail of the one that's getting pretty much destroyed on the ground. And it's huge, and there's not much that can be done by, as far as taking it down wise, by the rebels. There's this evil princess on the ship who approaches the one-armed metal guy, and they have a quick discussion before we go back on the ground.
Yeah,
and
she's
Luke and go ahead.
She's the person who brought in the mining operation because, you know, the Empire, the planet where she comes from, where she's like a princess, that's what they're famous for, mining, which anybody who reads the Star Wars series, or if you read the previous Darth Vader series by Gillen and LaRocca, she was her story kicked off in, I think, Darth Vader Annual #1, and then I think it was the third trade, where the story heavily involved her and her people in the kingdom, and Darth Vader came in and kind of just took over, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So now she's helping the Empire.
She's gone bad. And then we flash to the Millennium Falcon. Han and Leia get off. They meet up with Luke. Luke is talking to, is this one of just the riders on these horses?
Yeah, it's one of the people they met up with in the first issue of the arc. This Asian girl, I guess, for some, their names are escaping me right now. They got those weird Star Wars type names.
Yeah.
But he's like,
I'm not good with space names.
Yeah, me neither. He's a guy. All the names are just so weird. It's hard to remember them all.
Yeah.
But he's a friend of the guy from Rogue One with the machine gun. For some reason, I'm forgetting his name right now. They say it like 1,000 times throughout this arc, and for some reason, I still just can't remember his name. But it was the guy with the machine gun who was a friend of the dude who's always talking about the Force with the staff. And you know, they're like the guardians of the Kyber crystals. So they're talking about going off to where the temple used to be.
Yeah. And then Luke and Leia's discussion ends up kind of causing a mini beef between the two, because Luke wants to go research this thing that could possibly, you know, increase his Jedi powers, make him a better Jedi. And Leia's basically beef with him is, you can't do this right now. You know what I'm saying? We're kind of in the middle of a mission, dude. It's not really cool. This ends up leading to a flashback of the last words that Leia's father, or who she thought was her real father, at this point in time, anyway,
which is
said to her,
because, you know, the story takes place on Jedha, which is the planet from Rogue One where they went to stop the Empire from where they went to go get the plans for the Death Star. And at the end of the movie, you know, you see Leia get the information on her ship and then take off. And this is right before she got on that ship to meet up with everybody to get the plans for the Death Star. So it's kind of cool how it's all connected like that. I like.
Yeah, it's pretty tight continuity there. Anyway, regardless of Leia's flashback and her convincing, Luke decides to go off anyway, research this information or do this training, whatever it consists of, and leaves Leia and Han and all them kind of on their own. We see Luke
He makes a good point
eventually. Go
because
ahead.
he makes a good point to her because she's busting his balls about like the mission comes first. This is more important. Blah blah blah. And he's like, I'm he's strong with the Force and he's a Force user, not exactly a Jedi. And he even says, Darth Vader killed my father. He killed Obi-Wan. He's killed so many people. He's like, and I'll never kill him. I'll never be able to fight him unless I like complete my training. I need to be a Jedi. So like really what's more important, because he's the one who kind of brings it all down at the end in Return of the Jedi. So this is almost as important as what she's crying about. And she's just being a bitch.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. It's a boy-girl beef here. The girls will take Leia's side, the boys understand Luke's side.
Brother sister fight.
Yeah, but then they follow Luke off in the rest of the story as he goes off on this travel. Kind of hits some rough territory, really kind of in a place he thinks he shouldn't be. They get attacked by one of these giant Beetlejuice type looking worms. And it's in a really cool scene. Luke basically pulls a Drax where he gets eaten by the animal, but ends up killing it from the inside almost. Between the Force and the lightsaber, he ends up unharmed. And
and it falls on top of him, and he ends up going inside through the slit in his throat.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
Covered in all green slime. He comes stumbling out of there, talking to his giant giraffe rider. When they realize their journey is pretty much ended and they're where they want to be. As Luke confronts these pretty sweet looking dudes, if you ask me, I don't know, kind of like ninja robot assassin looking guys. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but cool ending, cool cliffhanger. And for somebody that, me personally isn't a huge fan of Star Wars and all the media surrounding it, I really enjoyed and had a good time reading the issue. And the art was awesome. The fights, and I mean, this is the end of a 3-part arc that I got really into, and I told you earlier in the week I really liked this issue. So I always get mildly inspired to read some of the other Star Wars comics and catch up on some of this stuff when I read one of the issues for the podcast or for even Marvel Madness, and then I'm just behind on everything else, so it never ends up happening. But yeah, I mean, I do have a good time when I pick them up and I read them and I flip through them. I thought this was overall, between the art and the story and the conclusion and just the variety of storytelling present in the book, was a buy for me. But yeah, you're just more of the fan of the the series and the issues you've been following. I haven't. So what you think about it?
Yeah, I agree. I love Star Wars. I grew up like when I was a kid, like from 4 years old to up. Like every morning we had Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, and A New Hope recorded on VHS tapes off of HBO. And like every morning when I got up, the first thing I would do is either pop one of those or Ghostbusters in. And I would watch it every morning, sometimes multiple times a day, to the point where when I was like 11, 12, I would be sitting on the couch, like doing all the dialogue out loud while I was watching the movie. My brother used to like make fun of me for it. But yeah, I really like this issue. I love this whole series. Star Wars comics are some of the best comics that Marvel puts out. They really put a lot of love and care into keeping the continuity super tight. Even like things that happen in the movies from like the original trilogy to Rogue One play a big part in what happens in the books. And I've always, my whole life I've always wanted to see what happened in between all these stories, because sometimes in between the movies, like years pass by and you don't know, like, I want to see what happened in all these years, like all these other exciting missions they went on, and now I get to see them, and they don't disappoint. Jason Aaron did a fantastic job for his 37 issues, and I loved Kieran Gillen's Darth Vader run almost as much as Jason Aaron's Star Wars, maybe a little bit more. So he was a natural successor to Aaron. So and he's doing a great job. Salvador Larroca's photorealistic faces, like these painted, drawn kind of face, they kind of weirded me out at first, but I'm starting to get used to them.
Yeah.
Although I still wish though, because there are certain moments like where he'll draw Luke, he'll just pencil him like a regular comic character, like he did in the Darth Vader series. Like in the beginning of the issue, where what's his name, Burton or Burson, whatever his name is, shot that dude in the back. There's a panel, 2 panels down, you see Luke's face, and it's drawn, and it looks great. It's not that photorealistic. Like he doesn't have to do that style. I don't know why he chose to do it. It's a little weird, but you get used to it. He does the same thing with the guy with the eye patch, the leader of the Empire at this place, and you know it looks, it can be a little off-putting, but you get used to it.
Yeah.
But overall, art, story, I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to see where we go next. I know Luke and this other guy, for some reason I can't remember his name right now, are gonna have to fight their way out of the place of where the Jedi Temple used to be. I get the idea that these guys want them to stay there and die with them while it all burns down.
Yeah, I had no idea what they were up to, but they look cool, so I was down with whatever they're doing next.
Yeah. The guy at the end, he's like, you are here to join us in the shadow of death, and that just doesn't sound good. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think they'll have mixed
but yeah,
about that.
Yeah, most definitely. But yeah, it's a definite buy for me. And I'm really liking the David Marquez covers too. They've been really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun issue. I definitely had I had more fun reading this than some of the other random ones that I read this week. But we're gonna wrap this up, guys. We will see you for a few other books on Marvel Madness Comics Podcast. It comes out on Monday, but we're signing out here. Party is over. I got to go tend to a boo-boo my daughter has. So we'll talk to you guys next week. Later, guys.
Peace.